right, check 1, 2. Good morning, Philip Mandel, flight instructor here at Twin Oaks Airpark 703. I will take you through my entire flight, I hope, assuming the GoPro and everything else cooperates. From here from Twin Oaks to Camas Grove Field, 1 Whiskey 1 in Washington, just the other side of PDX. So, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, great. Of course, I pre-flighted carefully, and I'm in the airplane getting things ready to go. So, I've got my master on and radio master so I can talk to you. And starting to get things cranked up. So I got the iPad in here plugged in. I got my little auxiliary audio here thing so that Siri can talk to me or ForeFlight can talk to me about traffic, because this is where my ADS-B in shows up. So what I always do is do a audio check when I'm plugged into this, and I go to the timer in ForeFlight, countdown timer, 10 seconds, and when this hits 0, it should say timer has expired, and we'll see how loud it is. I have to stop talking so we can hear it.
Timer has expired.
Okay, hope you heard that. It's loud enough for me. I'll be able to hear that when ForeFlight talks to me, so that verifies that connection, the volume, and everything else. All right, meanwhile, I have this warning light, which tells me low voltage, the engine's not running. That makes sense. I have this warning light, which tells me that this engine monitor is capable of warning me about stuff. And that's all part of my before takeoff stuff. So pre-flight is complete. Fuel door is latched. The tennis balls are off the antennas. That's another story. Ventilation is as desired. I have the air vent closed and I have the heat up on maximum because it's kind of a chilly morning. Seatbelts and shoulder harnesses are very secure. Adjusted and locked. Headsets, hearing devices, warning lights. So headset is this. Hearing devices is my cochlear implant and my little transmitter here. Warning light, plural. They're both working. ForeFlight volume I just checked. Carbon monoxide monitor. Let's turn that on. That'll go 1098, etc. down to 0. I'll check that in a second. Flaps are up. I always check them to be sure they click nicely and look correct outside. Circuit breakers in, I have 2. I have the bus and I have the alternator field over here. Otherwise, all switches are off except what I need to be able to talk to you, which is the master and radio master. And of course, the mags are off. I've already tested my electric trim, elevator trim, and aileron trim. They're both running this morning. Passenger briefing, including the canopy latch. I don't have a passenger. I might just skip that item. Before engine start, checklist is complete. Engine start checklist. Fuel valve is on. Carburetor is cold. I always check it mechanically, pull it out, push it back in, and it feels mechanically good, and it's cold. Master switch on, it already is. And with my master, what I get is this warning light and the fuel level indication. Mixture is going to be full rich. If mag is on for me, it's actually both mags now because they both have impulse couplings. I automatically step on the brakes even though I don't have it in my checklist. So my brakes are on. I prime while I start. And throttle set. Again, I'll prime with the throttle. This airplane doesn't have a primer. It's just prime with the throttle while I'm cranking. Propeller area clear. Clear prop. I shout it. I look around. Then I shout it again. Prop. No one's around. Early morning, nobody's here. Oh, I do have brakes on here. Hey, look at that. Brake set, engine start. So I'm going to turn off the radio thing to protect my radios during the start, and then I'll be back. But you'll be able to watch. You just won't hear anything. Cold morning, so she took a couple of tries. All right, meanwhile, oil pressure's coming up. All right, I don't need a checklist for that. I know that the first thing has to happen is oil pressure needs to come up. So oil pressure's looking good. I've leaned it back a little bit already for try to keep the plugs from fouling. 1,000 RPM, I don't know if you can see this. I let 900 because it's cold. As soon as the oil warms up, it'll crank itself up a little faster anyway. All right, back to the checklist. And to start, right mag on it already is because I start on both. I usually do a sanity check here, right mag off. It's still running. Right mag on, left mag off. It's still running. And back to both. Okay, so that's just sanity. Make sure I don't have a completely dead mag or something crazy. Alternator on already and radio master's on so I can talk to you. Low pressure check. Throttle 1,000 is my RPM. So here's manifold pressure, RPM, gallons per hour, fuel flow. Low pressure, oil temperature, the hottest of the four cylinders, EGT, and the hottest of the four cylinders, cylinder head temp. Throttle 1,000, it's working its way up there, iPad on, and Wi-Fi connected. So let's get that started. Go over here, and I want to watch it connect to the ping, which is the UAvionics Echo UAT, ADSB in this case. Receiver. And by the way, brand new transponder as of like earlier this week. Today, by the way, is October 28th, 2023, Saturday morning. All right, Navcom and transponder check. So it's our Unicom here, Hillsboro Tower, which is the first airport heading northbound out of here. In case I have trouble, I want to have a one button push away from a controller. I always have that in backup when I depart here in either direction. Lights and switches, everything is on, not yet. Okay, so I've got master, alternator, and radio master. Strobes, nav lights, landing light, autopilot, flight director. All switches are on, except for I have two switches that are spares and not used at the moment, so those obviously don't go on. I see now the ping, which is the UAT. It's hooked up to Wi-Fi, so I'll go back to ForeFlight. I should see traffic. And I can also go here to devices and see that this thing thinks it's connected. And there's visible traffic out there on ADSB. So that's not working. Okay, back to here. Light switches as desired, mixture lean for taxi. Already done that. Altimeter is set, 3048. I put it in here. I turned this on and set the altimeter according to my ForeFlight, telling me what the altimeter setting is nearby. That way I have it there. I already set it here. I'll double check 3048. And I have to put it in the autopilot. I have it 3 places in this airplane. 3048. And on this one, I have to set the altimeter setting and field elevation. It's kind of weird. Set it to 170. So this now reads 170 or 180. It's about 150. That's about 150. They're all well within spec, within 50 feet of each other. So altimeters are now set. Autopilot test, what I do is turn on, feel that there's resistance in the stick in 2 axes. Hold the button and make sure I can turn it off. Mostly I'm interested in being able to turn it off. And then steering and brakes. So let's roll a little bit. Nobody's out there. The RPM, I haven't touched the throttle. It was about 850 earlier. It's already right up to 1,000 right now, just because of the oil warming up. So anyway, here's my steering. It's tail wheel steering. This is a Thorp T-18, by the way, November 118 Bravo Charlie. Brakes feel great and equal. All right, we'll taxi out. And at this airport, kind of unusual in terms at uncontrolled airports to call your taxi, but at this one we do for various reasons. So here we go. Twin Oaks traffic, experimental, 8 Bravo Charlie at the hangars, taxi runway 2, Twin Oaks. All right, when you're taxiing, one hand's on the throttle, the other hand is on the stick, and that does not change. Your hand stays on the throttle, the other hand stays on the stick. Do not take your hand off the throttle. Do not take your hand off the stick or wheel while you're taxiing. If you need to scratch your nose, you do this. You come to a full stop, scratch your nose, adjust radio volume, do whatever you gotta do. Hand back on throttle, hand on stick or yoke. Continue taxiing. There are designated examiners that will fail an applicant who takes their hand off of either one of these while taxiing. That's an automatic fail. And they don't do that to be mean. They do that because this is the safest way to do it. Any doing anything else compromises safety. Adjusting anything, just don't do it. All right, we come way up here. I get pretty tight to the end, and then I make a 90-degree turn to the right. I don't want to face. I don't want to face anything such that if the brakes let go and I don't happen to catch them in time, if I was still facing that way, I'd go down the ditch into the river and